Hi everyone, this is Ken Reeves. Coming up on today's show, we'll highlight steps you can take now to help you achieve a comfortable retirement. Yes, it all starts with a plan. Stay tuned for today's Retirement Max Radio.
Welcome in to Retirement Max Radio with Ken Reeves.
Welcome into Retirement Max Radio, hosted by Ken Reeves. The Apex Financial Group is where you can find him. That group with 32 years experience helping hundreds of clients get ready for their retirement. Ken is a member of the NEA, the National Ethics Association. He has an A-plus rating, Better Business Bureau, and get this, he is a certified annuity specialist, certified Social Security specialist, and a certified Medicare specialist. I'm Morgan Patrick, consumer advocate. We talk retirement topics each and every week, and we also each and every week give you an opportunity to get on the calendar with Ken Reeves, no cost, no obligation, no pressure. Talk about your retirement situation. Maybe you haven't started planning. Be a great time to do it. Or if you're in the middle of something and you need a second opinion, bingo, grab one of those spots. We'll open those up here in just a little bit. So getting ready for retirement, it is a process, right? And there are very few absolutes, very few foundation pieces. But the good news is there are a few of them. So we're going to talk about them today. When you get to retirement, what your money does, how your money does it, you want to have it and you want it to be safe as you move to retirement and through retirement. So steps to achieving, that comfortable feeling when it comes to retirement. First and foremost, Ken, create a financial plan and work with a financial advisor.
Yes, so this is aid number one at the top of everybody's list, or at least it should be. Don't try to wing this on your own. You've saved your whole retirement for this, and as you're getting closer, it's good to have a written down plan. So you want to have a plan that'll push you forward, give you a roadmap, so to speak. It's never too late to start, or it's never too early to meet with an advisor. And that's what we do. We talk retirement each and every week, Morgan. We are Birmingham's retirement radio talk show.
Folks, it's about steps. I mean, just 1, 2, 3, 4, how you get to retirement. But you also want to achieve that, and you want to be comfortable when you get there. So we're talking about, first step, have a plan. Work with a financial advisor, somebody that does this on a daily basis. There are many of you out there that feel comfortable with just saying, hey, I've got a portfolio. I'm doing quite well, accumulating. But really, having a portfolio does not equate to having a plan. Make sure you do. And again, there's going to be an opportunity to get on the calendar with Ken Reeves. You can have that very discussion. So, steps that we can take to achieve that comfortable retirement. Work with a financial planner, work with a financial advisor. Make sure you have that financial plan as you move towards your golden years. This next one, Ken, is so very, very important. The high interest debt's just got to go. You got to get out of that.
Well, Morgan, we talk about this probably every week, at least some segment or some portion of the show. So if you have outstanding debt, like mortgage or credit cards, pay off the balance, in full as soon as possible. So there are differing opinions on eliminating the mortgage depending on your interest rate and how much you owe and what makes sense to your unique situation. So consumer debt should always be paid off sooner rather than later. So let's look at your credit cards. Look at the interest rate on those, Morgan. And, like we said before on the show, look at just how high that interest is. And it's absurd. It's ridiculous that all that extra money could be going in to boost your retirement savings, right? And when that paycheck stops, and whether you have a plan to have an income or a paycheck coming in, if you don't have those bills paid off, especially at that high rate, what are you going to do? I mean, you don't want to go bankrupt in retirement. So get out of debt as soon as you can and make that a part of your plan going into retirement.
I mean, these are steps that everyone can do. Not everybody can stick to it. That's why it's so important to have that financial plan, work with a pro to develop the plan. The next step, get out of debt. That high interest stuff could absolutely scuttle, really ruin a retirement. So make sure you're getting out of debt as quickly as you can. And Ken, what about creating tax diversified sources of income?
Well, Morgan, tax diversified sources of income for individuals planning a comfortable retirement should include a mix of pre-taxed and post-tax vehicles. Think traditional 401k or IRA accounts, along with a Roth 401k or a Roth IRA to avoid paying extra taxes when you take distributions. So, additionally, if you're currently employed and your employer offers a retirement plan, Delk Walker recommends contributing to this retirement plan to the point of maximizing any company match. Set a goal to increase your contribution annually until you max it out. So, we see too many people in the office, Morgan, almost on a weekly basis for one reason or the other, and they may have to scale back a little bit because of inflation in the economy. But you want to be sure you're at least taking that match to its potential and max it out. I mean, as much as you possibly can to increase and contribute even in this down market. It's certainly advisable to do that.
Yeah, and if you're at a company and they have a 401k, see if they have a match, make sure you're getting it all, because that's the free money we talk about almost on a weekly basis. Not a lot of companies offer it anymore, but if they do, make sure you're taking advantage of it. Steps, achieving a comfortable retirement. What do? Well, you need a financial plan. You need to work with a pro, a financial advisor, put that plan together. Get out of debt. The high interest stuff, get rid of that. Create that tax diversified source of income or incomes. That's going to help your retirement. What about opening up an HSA?
Well, a health savings account can be an additional retirement account. It's a win-win-win of saving for retirement. The money goes in pre-taxed and grows tax-free. And it's not taxed if you use it for qualified medical expenses. The only caveat, Morgan, is that you have to have a high deductible health insurance plan. So the maximum contribution amounts for 2022 is $3,650 for self only and $7,300 for families. If you're over 55, you can add another $1,000. Remember, you can only contribute to an HSA until you're 65. So start saving right now.
You're locked into Retirement Max Radio, hosted by Ken Reeves, Apex Financial Group. They have a great website for you to check out, retirementmaxradio.com. And again, there's an Ask Ken section. You can leave a question. We'll answer it on a future program. All of our radio shows are in podcast form. They're available there, but you can also go wherever you get your downloads, iTunes, Spotify, Google Play, Amazon. Just type in Ken Reeves. Remember, retirementmaxradio.com. It's a great resource for you. There's an events tab. Make sure you check that out. All the upcoming workshops are going to be available there for you. So go to retirementmaxradio.com and you'll get plenty of information when it comes to retirement. We're going to give you an opportunity to get on the calendar with Ken Reeves, no cost or obligation. And again, no pressure. See where you are in your retirement planning process. Right now, just hitting steps. Achieving a comfortable retirement. What do? Well, you got to have a financial plan. You need to work with a financial advisor. You need to get out of debt. That high interest stuff, got to go. Create tax diversified sources of income. Maybe talk about opening up an HSA. And this last one we're going to be able to get to today, protect and preserve those assets.
Yep. So the one single greatest expense in retirement is healthcare. I think, a lot of people don't really think that through or think about that. So most Americans need to work at least age 65 when they qualify for Medicare. While part of your vision for a comfortable retirement should focus on care and keeping of your health, an unexpected healthcare bill has the ability to take a significant portion of a retiree's income and savings. So in some cases, this can lead to retirees selling off their assets to make up for financial losses. So talk to us about hybrid policies. That includes not only a death benefit, but if you need long-term care, it can be used to help pay those expenses. So Morgan, a lot of people, I think, they're shocked or they don't realize if they look at life insurance or annuities, they are insurance products. And they don't understand that there are hybrid products. So what if they've waited too late in their life for long-term care, or they don't want long-term care because they may not use it, or it goes up. So we all know that long-term care does go up. So some of the annuities do have income doublers, right, for long-term care type needs. If you get confined to a hospital or you lose 2 ADLs, and better yet, some of the life insurance policies, Morgan, they actually will have a long-term care and a death benefit. So when you pass away, at least that way, somebody's getting the benefit. So you've paid into it all these years, and right, so now you want to be able to get what you paid for, which is sort of the downside to a lot of the long-term care policies. I hear it pretty regular. What if I don't ever use it? Well, I guess my response to that, Morgan, is, well, you certainly don't. You pay your car insurance and you don't want to use it, so why should that be any different? But with these hybrid policies, it certainly is taking, some of that bang. You're getting a lot of bang for your buck, in other words.
Retirement Max Radio, going over steps to achieve that comfortable retirement. Create a financial plan with a financial advisor. Step 1, get out of the high interest debt. Step 2, create a tax diversified source of income or incomes. That's step 3. Maybe talk about opening up an HSA, and then, work really hard to protect and preserve your assets. Work with a pro. Make sure you have a plan. There's an opportunity now to get on the counter with Ken Reeves. Ken, what's going to happen for the next 5 callers?
Well, we specialize in retirement planning for those that are, 10 years or less from retirement. Come in and have a conversation with us. We have operators waiting to take your calls right now. We'll discover your goals and what your dream retirement looks like. Most importantly, we're going to see if we're a good fit for you. If we are, then we'll continue our 4-step process that will get you on the correct path to retirement. We call it the Retirement Maximizer. We'll see what kind of risk you can tolerate based on your current goals. We'll help you determine and make a plan for Social Security and taxes. Most importantly, will help make sure that you have an income base that will last a lifetime. All of these factors come into play will be maximize your retirement. Our focus is retirement planning, and we want to make sure that you have the retirement of your dreams. We won't set an asset level to work with you like other firms in the area. Here at Apex Financial Group, we're here to help. Call us for a free consultation and a second opinion review.
All right, we've got 5 positions on the counter. Get your Retirement Maximizer right now. No cost, no obligation. Again, no pressure. 800-343-7989. That's 800-343-7989. If you haven't started your planning process, this is a perfect opportunity to do it. You can get direction. You can feel better about where you currently sit. Don't procrastinate. Don't put your head in the sand. Or if you've already started planning and you just need a second opinion, one of the spots, well, they're there for you as well. Here's the number, 800-343-7989. That's 800-343-7989. They will not last long, so call now. 800-343-7989.
Rising inflation is really beginning to take its toll on everyone, especially those in or near retirement. When we come back, we'll outline just what kind of threat inflation is to your retirement and offer some tips to help weather this rough patch. This and more on this segment of Retirement Max Radio.
Welcome back to Retirement Max Radio. Your host is Ken Reeves, Apex Financial Group in the Birmingham market. Again, if you're listening, you're in Birmingham, Gadsden, Montgomery, Huntsville. Look, it's all about retirement. I'm Morgan Patrick, consumer advocate. Ken Reeves and the Apex Financial Group, they're all about retirement, the golden years. And Ken has helped hundreds of clients get ready for their retirement. He is a member of the NEA, the National Ethics Association. He's also got an A-plus rating Better Business Bureau. And get these stats: certified annuity specialist, certified Social Security specialist, and a certified Medicare specialist. Again, I'm Morgan Patrick, consumer advocate, and we get into the topics each and every week here on the program. We want to remind you, too, just a wonderful resource website for you, retirementmaxradio.com. Again, retirementmaxradio.com. A lot of stuff there for you. There's an Ask Ken section. You can leave a question. We'll answer it on a future program. All of our radio shows in podcast form available for you there. There is a special events tab. You can click on it. You can find out all about the workshops. And again, that's all about education when it comes to retirement. So we're going to get into inflation. I know a lot of people are like, oh boy, really? Yes, we are. Inflation is always going to be around. Sometimes it's a little bit more. Sometimes it's a little bit less. Sometimes it's a lot more. And I think we're in the lot more category right now. It's great if you have saved $1 million for retirement, but think about what that's going to mean with inflation. So today's dollars, it's not going to be the same with inflation. So we wanted to talk about it, consider it, and also explore just exactly what inflation is going to mean to you. So Ken, let's get into this and let's educate, all right? What is loss of purchasing power?
Well, Morgan, loss of purchasing power refers to the decrease of how much you can buy with a given amount of money. For example, if you have to spend $3 to buy 1 dozen eggs today, but that same dozen eggs cost you $4 in the future, you have lost about 33% of your purchasing power. Over time, loss of purchasing power is almost inevitable, right? As you've already alluded to, as inflation nearly always runs a positive rate. Even if inflation temporarily turns negative, such as during a severe recession, for example, it's almost a given that over time, the prices of goods and services will rise. So according to Consumer Reports in 1952, for example, the average price of a new car was $1,700. 70 years later in 2022, the average price of a car is now $47,000.
Wow.
That's right. Go out and try to find a truck, Morgan. And here in Alabama, we drive a lot of trucks.
I was saying average new car at 47. That might be a little low. Some of the numbers I've been seeing.
Yeah.
I mean, used cars
That's
too.
right.
You just mentioned it. I mean, it's a tough go right now.
It is.
Folks, it's all about having a plan. And even when we're talking about inflation, you're probably sitting there going, okay, how does that just impact me? Well, it is really going to bite when it comes to your retirement dollars. So make sure your plan is considering all the different scenarios. And a higher inflation rate is going to eat away at your nest egg. So make sure you have a plan that will basically account for that. So we're talking about it. And again, getting into the inflation and talking about that conversation and what it means to you. And again, exploring exactly how that's going to impact your retirement. So we've talked about, purchasing power, what it is and what that loss of purchasing power is. What about the compounding effect of inflation? I mean, it really does not only hit you one time, but it keeps growing.
Well, Morgan, inflation can be devastating to a retirement nest egg, not just because it rises over time, but because it also compounds. For example, if inflation holds steady at 4% a year, prices might be expected to double in 25 years. But in reality, they would double in closer to 13 years. So over a long retirement, this compounding effect becomes even more pronounced. So at a 4% rate of inflation, prices have just about quadrupled in 25 years, meaning a static uninvested portfolio of, let's say, $1 million will only have the purchasing power of about $250,000 over the next 25 years. So that's important. That's an important concept to understand when planning out your retirement savings goals. So this is something, Morgan, we do take in consideration as we're developing a plan. We certainly want to make sure that our investments and our retirement do keep up with inflation and last your lifetime.
Retirement Max Radio, talking inflation, just the impact that it can have on your retirement, and you need to be aware of it. I mean, again, we have already talked about, the loss of purchasing power. That's going to be an issue with inflation. The compounding effect of inflation, it is going to continue to bust up and grow. And now we want to talk about how we combat that. How do we work against inflation within a retirement plan? What about growth investments?
Well, given that inflation is going to attack the purchasing power of your retirement nest egg, it's important to fight back from an investment perspective. So be careful, for going full throttle, though. There are just too many ways to start losing your money, but there's also a lot of ways to use some of the moderate growth investments to help keep up with inflation so you don't lose them, especially, during this time we're in right now. So given the corrosive effects of inflation, it may actually be more risky to your long-term returns to be out of some kind of growth vehicle, as we alluded. But of course, this just depends on how close you are to your retirement date. So as we analyze your risk is a big portion of this conversation and this growth investment. So are you young enough to recoup? Can we put a little bit more in there during this time? Can you recoup if it goes the other way? Or are you closer to retirement and you need to be a little bit more moderate? So, there's a lot of vehicles out there where we can still help keep up with inflation without completely being devastated by it.
I mean, the impact of inflation on everything. I mean, you've been to the grocery store, you've been to the gas pump. I mean, it's gonna impact your wallet, which means when you get to retirement, depending on where inflation is, it's going to have a big impact on what you're going to do in your golden years. So again, going over the impact of inflation, what is the loss of purchasing power, the compounding effect of inflation, and then how do you fight back? I mean, growth investments. And now this next one, and it's going to apply to everyone out there, and that is Social Security. And when you get there, now COLAs are fantastic. Cost of living adjustments, we're going to talk about those. We've gotten a bump this past year, and the word is we're going to get another one.
Yep. So another weapon you have in the battle against inflation is the annual cost of living adjustment offered by the Social Security Administration. Every year, the Social Security Administration adjusts payments upward based on the rate of inflation on the prior year. For much of the 2000s, the annual COLA, they've been small or even non-existent for that fact due to the persistency of low inflation rates. But in January of 2022, Social Security payments were boosted by a whopping 5.9%. And that's the highest jump, Morgan, since 1981. So for 2023, some forecasts are estimating that a COLA is as high as 8%, which would be awesome, as inflation rose 8.6% over the year since May of 2022. The annual COLA is thus an important tool in helping protect your nest egg against inflation, particularly if the bulk of your retirement income comes from Social Security.
I mean, a lot of people are in that boat, Ken, where Social Security is, a big part of what they're going to do in their golden years. You got to have supplements, obviously, to help you get through retirement, but Social Security is a big part of it. So how that is impacted by inflation, everybody is very focused on it. So what is the bottom line when it comes to inflation and retirement?
Well, Morgan, although the math of inflation can seem daunting, there are things we can do to minimize its effects. So the first step is to understanding exactly how inflation works and how the effects of it on your retirement portfolio. Next is to ensure your asset allocation can help protect you from the rising inflation over the course of your retirement. That's why it's so important to sit down and have a conversation with us, Morgan, and going over, inflation and what's happening right now is so vitally important to so many people's retirement. And I know we get calls on a regular basis. People, Morgan, are panicking right now. And, with an approximate 20% drop, in the market since January 1 of this year, we don't know when it's going to end. So not only are we taking the beating over the head of inflation, we're also taking the beating of the market going down, right? We've really enjoyed this last 12 years of gain, but, now we're starting to get back into, I hate to say it, more of a normalized market in the way the market used to be. So let's just hope that it goes the other way and we can continue another 12 years. I guess especially a lot of this is based, Morgan, on how we go to the election polls in November.
Well, I'll tell you this, it ebbs and flows. Having a 12 and a half year bull run was unexpected. Will we have something like that in the future? It is possible, but expect a roller coaster ride currently with the stock market. Again, talking about just, what's going to impact your retirement. We've been focusing on inflation. There are a lot of things out there that can eat away at what you're doing as far as retirement planning. So make sure your plan includes, different scenarios that can protect, your savings, because this is your retirement. Now's the opportunity to get on the calendar with Ken Reeves, host of Retirement Max Radio. You can find him at Apex Financial Group. Again, if you're listening in Birmingham, Gadsden, Montgomery, Huntsville, this is your opportunity to get on the calendar with Ken, talk about your retirement situation. And we have 5 positions we're opening up right now. Ken, what's going to happen for these 5 callers?
Well, Morgan, our signature retirement plan called the Retirement Maximizer is what we build our show around, and we are the show that talks retirement. Retirement goals and dreams start with a conversation, and we help determine what your ideal retirement looks like for you. We use a 4-step process, Morgan, that analyzes risk, Social Security, taxes, and most importantly, income. When the paychecks stop, you need a consistent income source, and we make sure that you have an income stream so you can have a worry-free retirement. Morgan, we'll put a plan together that ensures your income will last as long as you do, no matter how long you live. We use the right tools for the job. Our initial consultation and review will not cost our listeners anything. Here at Retirement Max Radio, we're here to help. Call us for a free consultation and a second opinion review to make sure that you're on the right path to retirement.
We're proud to be shedding light on so many different retirement topics. We just got finished talking about inflation and how that's going to impact possibly your retirement, things you need to be concerned with. And it's about making the right decisions. And you have a no cost, no obligation opportunity right now to get on the calendar with Ken Reeves at Apex Financial Group and talk about your situation. 5 spots. They will go fast. Call this number, 800-343-7989, and book your appointment. Again, education, finding out about your retirement situation. If you haven't started planning, get moving on it. If you need a second opinion, use one of these spots right now. 800-343-7989. That's 800-343-7989.
The last thing we want to do is sabotage our retirement plan, but sometimes things happen and mishaps occur. The good news is this behavior can be corrected. A how-to segment is next on Retirement Max Radio.
Welcome back into Retirement Max Radio. Your host, Ken Reeves, Apex Financial Group, and that group over 32 years experience helping hundreds of clients get ready for their retirement. Ken is a member of the NEA, the National Ethics Association. He has an A+ rating, Better Business Bureau. He is a certified annuity specialist, certified Social Security specialist, and a certified Medicare specialist. I'm Morgan Patrick, consumer advocate. There's going to be an opportunity to get on the calendar with Ken Reeves. No cost, no obligation. We'll open up those appointments here in just a little bit. We've got 5 for this portion of the program, and we will let you have at it here in just a little bit. Want to remind you, too, just a wonderful resource website, retirementmaxradio.com. That's retirementmaxradio.com. Our podcasts, and again, are there for you. Our radio shows are in podcast form, and you can also go to iTunes, Spotify, Google Play, and Amazon and just type in Ken Reeves, or you can tell Alexa, hey, play Ken Reeves, and you will get the shows, and you can listen to your heart's content. But also at the website, you can go to the events tab for upcoming workshops, and that's all about education. Go to retirementmaxradio.com and find out more information. Plus, there's contact information there for the Apex Financial Group. So sometimes we are our own worst enemies, Ken. I mean, this can especially be true when it comes to saving for retirement. And life happens, though. We all know this. I mean, kids go to college. Maybe there's a big old wedding you got to pay for. That can be expensive. Maybe you've got that mortgage you got to pay off, or you've just got a ton of other bills. I mean, these things do happen. It's called life. The good news is, you know, there are certain behaviors that we can change that will help you out, all right? So this first one, again, talking about mistakes that can sabotage your retirement. If you have trouble just planning ahead, this could sabotage you.
Well, Morgan, a recent study showed too many people worry about putting out fires now instead of planning for the raging inferno down the road. You know, this study also showed that 20-something as a whole can't see the future. That's a shocker. That's why it's important to develop a good saving habit, you know, while you're young and early. You know, so as we talked about before in the show, even if you have trouble planning ahead, Morgan, it's never too late. So if you've waited too late to do this, you know, you might be in that boat where you're putting out fires, you know, and you're trying to stop that inferno from happening. But, you know, create that budget, start a plan going into retirement. What do your bills look like now versus what are your bills going to look like then? And that includes your medical bills. A lot of people, Morgan, they don't think about those medical bills.
I tell you, folks, mistakes that can sabotage your retirement. Folks, I mean, look, there are pitfalls everywhere, but you really kind of got to change your mindset when it comes to retirement. And if you have any of these in your portfolio, your quiver, or however you want to describe it, you need to make some changes. So if you have trouble looking ahead, that's a big one. If you just give up when it starts getting tough, you need to make an adjustment. Right, Ken?
Yep. So it isn't only the millennials who are torching their chances of having a stable retirement. Some 50-somethings fall into the trap of not saving for retirement because they think it's too late to save for anything meaningful at all. You know, you may not have as much as you'd like to going into retirement, but, you know, every little thing you do can help close that gap. Be proactive with your future, and you'll thank yourself later. So, you know, Morgan, as we've talked about, you know, HSAs, contribute to your 401ks, max them out, start an IRA, have a separate account. You know, if you're over 50, don't forget about your catch-up contributions. There are several things out there that you can do to help boost that retirement. You know, start a Roth, do whatever you can, get a second job. If you've waited too late before retirement, just think it's really not too late. Put as much as you can back. Don't depend on Social Security as your only source, because there is help out there. You can certainly, that's why we have a conversation. Give us a call and we can put you on the right path.
Again, we're going to have 5 positions on the calendar with Apex Financial Group and Ken Reeves, and they're going to be made available to you. Jot this number down, 800-343-7989. That's 800-343-7989. When we open up the phones, grab one of those appointments. Again, it's no cost, no obligation. Figure out where you are in your retirement planning process. And if you're doing some of these things and you're sabotaging, your potential retirement, you need to make some changes. You know, when the going gets tough, they say the tough get going. If you're sitting there and you are, I mean, these are tough times. I mean, we have a stock market that's going nuts. We have inflation that is just soaring. We have tax concerns. You know, this is going to impact retirement. Don't stick your head in the sand. You know, make sure you're in this And you can start this plan, you can start this conversation with one of the spots on Ken Reeves' calendar, and it's no cost, no obligation. So no skin off your nose. Get into the office, start talking about your retirement and how you can plan for it. Or if you need a second opinion, one of those spots are there for you as well. So back to the sabotage topic, all right? These are mistakes that can absolutely just destroy retirement. Are you overly optimistic about what your budget is and what it's going to be?
Well, thinking your finances are going to work out fine in the short term can hurt you long term if you're ever wrong and you're paying to fix and replace items and scrambling to keep your bills paid on time. A lot of people plan their finances without thinking about unplanned expenses. And so when those unplanned expenses occur, naturally their budget is thrown into disarray. And over the long haul, if you've ever had extra money or occasionally stopped automatic withdrawals to your retirement accounts, that can lead to putting away a lot less during your earning years. So you don't fall into this trap. We talk about this budget regular. Again, we're going to go back to make that budget before retirement and after retirement. It can be a fake budget, obviously, after retirement because you don't know all the expenses, but don't put yourself into a situation where you're pinching for every dime, if at all possible. Pay your bills off, get them as low as they can, and put as much back. Even if you have to go get another job, Morgan, as you've alluded, this is really tough times right now. And, everything with inflation, gas, you go to the grocery store and, it's just, you have a headache before you leave there because everything has gone up. The term meatflation, has started being coined all over the place. It's insane what it costs. And, so this is really why it's so important right now to work on your budget, especially this time. So this time may be a blessing for some people, Morgan. It may just get them on the right path before retirement starts.
Well, you brought it up, so I'm going to tell you a quick story. And I can't remember this ever happening before, but it's along the lines of just how things are going right now. The inflation rate is incredibly high. People are very concerned, and we get it. But went out the other night, sports bar, wanted to grab some wings. They bring me the menu, and they're a wing specialty place, okay? Wing specialty place. And I look down, and there are no prices.
Uh-oh.
No prices. Out to dinner with my son, and he's like, well, what's up? What's up with the wings? So the waiter said, our wings are market price. So the price of the wings was going up week to week to week, depending on, supply chain, if they had them at all. So all of a sudden, chicken wings, almost like lobster, they don't put the price on the menu now because it is so expensive to go out and have wings. But anyway, the point is, inflation is here. Higher taxes are on the way. The stock market is very uncertain right now. And look, we could have, some tough times ahead of us. So make sure that your retirement plan is considering all of these and make sure that you're off in the right direction when it comes to what you're going to be doing as you plan for and save for and get ready for and then launch into retirement. So many things you have to consider. And why not work with a professional? Why not work with somebody that does this on a daily basis, helping out their clients with their roadmap to retirement? You can get on the calendar with Ken Reeves, Apex Financial Group. We're going to offer up 5 of those spots here in just a little bit. We're going over mistakes that can sabotage retirement. And Ken, if you procrastinate, this is a big problem when it comes to retirement.
Well, Morgan, it could be a very bad sign for retirement. So, think of it this way. If you're a kid and you studied for a test at the last possible minute, or you're always late, to appointments as an adult, it's possible you might be prone to not saving up for retirement until, say, your middle years. So don't procrastinate, as we're talking about going in retirement. Start saving right now.
Okay, well, let's open up the calendar. We've got 5 spots. You're going to meet with our radio listeners next week. They're available right now. What's going to happen at this meeting?
Well, Morgan, we try our best to be available for our listeners. It doesn't matter if they live in Birmingham, Gadsden, Huntsville, or Montgomery. We do a deep dive over Zoom or in one of our 2 locations, or it can just start with a phone call. Talking about retirement can be worrisome, and we want to make it as easy as possible. Our conversation is the beginning of what we call the Retirement Maximizer because we want to make sure that your hard-earned retirement is maximized to its full potential. We'll discover your goals and dreams and what it takes to maximize your retirement. retirement. Our 4-step process gets you on the correct path to retirement by evaluating risk and taxes and analyzing the best time to take Social Security. Most importantly, we'll put together an income plan that will last both you and your spouse a lifetime. Retirement is no good if you run out of money. Conversations are free, and this initial consultation will not cost our listeners a dime. Apex Financial Group, Retirement Max Radio are here to help. Call us for a free consultation and second opinion review to make sure that you're on the right path to retirement. Remember, if you think you're in need of a second opinion, your current advisor isn't doing his job.
Folks, we got 5 positions for the Retirement Maximizer. This is no cost, no obligation. Get a better handle on your retirement situation. It's advice like this that shows you all the topics we hit. There's concern out there. We know you're concerned. We know you're worried. Do not procrastinate. Don't put your head in the sand. Don't put things off. You need to start your planning process, or you need a second opinion, and it starts by calling this phone number, 800-343-7989. That's 800-343-7989. 5 appointments available right now. You can book by calling 800-343-7989. Just that peace of mind when it comes to retirement, having started your planning process, or maybe, it's a checkup, right? You've got a plan, but it's just not kind of where you want it right now. Get a second opinion. Call the number, 800-343-7989, 800-343-7989. That'll get you in touch with the Apex Financial Group and Ken Reeves. No cost, no obligation, no pressure. 800-343-7989.
Next on Retirement Max Radio, letting our emotions get the best of us when planning and saving for retirement can have serious consequences. When we come back, we'll break down 10 deadly sins to avoid when saving for retirement.
Retirement Max Radio, we are back. Ken Reeves, your host, Apex Financial Group, where you can find him. That group with 32 years experience helping hundreds of clients get ready for their retirement. Ken is a member of the NEA, the National Ethics Association. He also has an A-plus rating Better Business Bureau. He is a certified annuity specialist, certified Social Security specialist, and a certified Medicare specialist. I'm Morgan Patrick, consumer advocate, and each and every week here on Retirement Max Radio, we talk the topics. You're going to have questions. We're going to give you an opportunity to get answers, right? We're going to try to provide a lot of those answers, but when it comes to your own personal retirement, if you have not started planning, or maybe you need a second opinion, we have 5 positions on the calendar with Ken Reeves for the upcoming week. We're going to open those up here shortly. Jump on those appointments and, get some education. Find out if you're in the right place when it comes to retirement planning. And if you're not, be flexible, be ready to pivot. But again, it's no cost, no obligation. We'll open those up here in just a little bit. So you want to improve your investment results? The so-called deadly sins listed that we are going to talk about, only among the most serious financial transgressions. So we will get right to it. Your portfolio could show improvement if you can avoid these. So let's get in. The first deadly sin is pride.
Yeah, Morgan. So thinking you can beat the market by picking individual stocks or selecting actively managed funds or timing the market, well, that's just not the average person's norm, right? Now, I don't want to offend some people out there, because there's a lot of people that day trade. There's a lot of people that really
Sure.
manage their own portfolio, and they do it, and I do it as well. Like, I enjoy it, and I don't use my retirement money for it, but I do have play money. And but for the average person, just thinking you can beat it, we don't have crystal balls, right? I mean, none of us do. I wish we did. We'd all be millionaires, right? But what's the antidote to pride? So the antidote is humility, and by humbly accepting average returns through low-cost index funds, you will paradoxically outperform the major of investors over time.
Deadly sins. We're talking about it as it pertains to retirement. The first one, pride. To combat pride, you need to have humility. What about greed, Ken?
Well, greed can come in several forms, but having an overly aggressive asset allocation, so that can be one of them, and not diversified enough. And the other is just getting too greedy about what you're making. And me and my son were going through this last year, and I'm teaching him about trading a little bit, and you really get going with a stock, and it starts going well, and then Morgan, some of these stocks can just do a 90-degree and fall, and where we would have been happy, at $20 ahead of where we lost, at 1,000 shares, that's a lot of money, and basically greed is what got us, and I'm guilty of it too. But I don't want to do it with my retirement money. So what's the antidote? Antidote to that is moderation. Once you determine your asset allocation, maintain it through thick and thin rebalancing periodically. So just don't put everything in one stock for your retirement, or even two stocks. Be sure you diversify that a little bit.
And think about this too, folks. There are a lot of you out there that have portfolios, but you don't have a plan. And inside that portfolio, how aware are you of your risk level? I mean, you may not even know you're being greedy. So make sure you have someone check out your portfolio. It's important to have a plan, but know what your risk is, know what your risk tolerance is, and be protected when it comes to your retirement dollars. So we're going over, again, the deadly sins that can, really rough up your retirement. So pride, that was number one, but the solution to pride is humility. And then there's greed. We're all, guilty of that. I mean, we want to make as much money as we possibly can, but when it comes to the stock market, you really have to be aware of your asset allocation and how aggressive you're being. And maybe you need to be, again, the antidote that Ken talked about, you have to have moderation, right? Moderation. So the next sin to be aware of, lust.
Well, lust, Morgan, is actually being addicted to financial pornography. So financial pornography, what is that? Well, just not to get too risque on Retirement Max Radio, but think CNBC and Fox Business. It may be entertaining, but it has no lasting value and actually is harmful to your financial health by promoting short-termism, right? So what's the antidote? So turn off the financial media and delete financial apps on your smartphone. Now, Morgan, I have to admit that's a little bit easier said than done, because
you're right.
I can't do it, right? Like, I want to know what's going on. And as a matter of fact, my clients that come in and clients that know me, especially if you're up in my Anderson office where I have dual monitors and I have big ones, one of them is constantly got the S&P 500 up. Like, I mean, I have trend lines on it. Like, it's marked all up. I want to know what's going on all the time.
Oh, and you're watching CNBC. I mean, we have, different, visitors on shows from time to time where we take clips from the experts. I mean, we're into it too, but I get what they're saying. I mean, you have to really kind of back off a little bit and not be so fixated on what's going on in the market, because guess what? The market's going to go up and the market's going to go down. You'll drive yourself absolutely crazy. So we've gotten through three of these: pride, greed, and lust. We've talked about, the antidotes for pride is going to be humility. The antidote for greed is going to be moderation. And the antidote for lust, just turn it off. Back away. Just say no to that financial pornography that's, on your television. Maybe it's on your smartphone, and just take a break from it. So this next one, Ken, we're going to give everybody an opportunity to get on your calendar and talk about their retirement situation. Again, these are no cost, no obligation appointments with Apex Financial Group, where you can see where you are in your retirement planning process. We're going to open those up here. We have 5 remaining on the show this week. So grab one of the final 5 here in just a little bit. So we've gone over pride, greed, lust. The next sin you got to be aware of when it pertains to your retirement and the economy and the stock market is envy.
So what is envy? Morgan, it's chasing performance. So this sin trips up more investors than any other. It ultimately leads to the cardinal sin of buying high and selling low. So what's the antidote? Stop comparing your investment performance to that of others. Success is not measured by the relative performance, but by whether you meet your own financial goals. And, that's so very true. And speaking of buying high and selling low, if anybody gets anything from this envy in this segment, never Never do that. You want to buy low and sell high. And I think a lot of people, Morgan, they know that, but then they panic and that panic button comes in and they do the exact opposite, which costs them so much, in the long term.
Well, I mean, we talk about it often. I mean, the fear of missing out when it comes to the stock market and, maybe the hot stock and you want to stay in it. You don't want, what if it goes back up? I mean, you want to stay there, but certainly, I mean, it's a big, big concern. So envy is number 4. And our 5th one, gluttony.
Oh, and gluttony is failing to save. So you might be a financial saint in every other aspect, but if you fail to save, it's game over. You can't invest what you haven't saved. So what's the antidote? Start saving something today. Slowly raise your saving rate over time. Morgan, we've talked about this in prior segments. It's never too late to get started, right? Go ahead and start something right now.
People, our listeners are like, wow, how are they taking the 7 deadly sins or, the deadly sins, because there are a lot of them, but we're going to probably get to about 7 of them. We've talked about pride. We've talked about greed. We've talked about lust, envy, gluttony, how that pertains to your retirement and solutions to it as well. There's going to be an opportunity to get on the calendar with Ken Reeves, and you can have your conversation about your retirement. And when I say your retirement, it's not like you come in and Ken is going to go, okay, you're A, B, or C. No, your retirement situation is unique to you. These are custom, right? And what you're going to have as you move towards retirement is going to be unique to you. So make sure that plan reflects that. So talking about these deadly sins when it comes to retirement, pride, again, the antidote to pride is humility. Greed, the antidote is moderation. Lust, it's going to be, well, just turn off all the stuff you're watching when you are looking at CNBC, that financial pornography we've talked about. Just turn it off for a little bit, step back. Envy, if you're chasing performance, the antidote, just stop comparing investments to others and just stay with it or get out. Gluttony, failing to save, the antidote, just save. Start saving today. It could be really small, but certainly get started. Here's number 6, Ken, and a lot of us suffer from this, impatience.
Well, Morgan, lacking investment stamina has dire consequences. So patience in financial markets is measured in years, sometimes decades. So the first decade of the 21st century was not so kind to stock investors who lost cumulative 9%. If you had bail bonds in the U.S. stocks in 2009, you would have missed out on the following decade of glorious rebound with an annualized return of over 16%. So what's the antidote to that? Patience and knowledge of financial history. While history doesn't necessarily repeat, it does rhyme. So what history has shown time and time again is that market mean revert. That is, sharp declines are typically followed by rebounds.
Talking about the sins when it comes to your retirement. We've talked about pride, greed, lust, envy, gluttony, and impatience. Now's the opportunity to get on the calendar with Ken Reeves. No costs, no obligation, no pressure. Ken, what's going to happen on these 5 appointments?
Well, Morgan, conversations are important going into retirement, and your planner must be a good communicator and listener. We'd be glad to have a 15-minute conversation with you. So when you call, you'll have the opportunity to meet us in person, virtually, or by phone. Our first conversation is the start of our Retirement Maximizer. We'll discover your goals and dreams and what retirement looks like to you. Unlike other firms that they say they have a secret sauce or use retirement buzzwords, heck, some of them, Morgan, won't even talk to our listeners unless they have a certain amount of money. At Apex Financial Group, Retirement Max Radio, we think everyone is important and deserves help. Our 4-step process will get you on the correct path to retirement. We'll evaluate risk, Social Security, and taxes, and most importantly, we'll make sure that you have an income plan that you can never outlive. All of these factors come into play when we maximize your retirement. Here at Apex Financial Group and Retirement Max Radio, we're here to help. Call us for a free consultation and a second opinion review to make sure that you're on the right path to retirement. Morgan, we have operators standing by.
All right, here we go. We got 5 positions, no cost, no obligation, no pressure. Goal of the show, help you make the best retirement decision for you. Here's the number, 800-343-7989. That's 800-343-7989. Again, if you have not started planning, great opportunity to do so. If you're in the middle of something, it's called a second opinion. 800-343-7989. One more time, 800-343-7989. Call now.
Advisory services are offered through Apex Financial Group, LLC. Ken Reeves and his guests provide general information, not individually targeted personalized advice, and are not liable for the usage of information discussed. Exposure to ideas and financial vehicles should not be considered investment advice or a recommendation to buy or sell any of these financial vehicles. This information should also not be considered tax or legal advice. Individuals should consult with a professional in the fields of tax, legal, accounting, or investments regarding the applicability of this information for their situation. Any comments regarding safe and secure investments and guaranteed income streams refer only to fixed insurance products. They do not refer in any way to securities or investment advisory products. No information presented today should be acted upon without meeting with a qualified and licensed professional.